Hello, my name is Alex, and this is going to be a demonstration of an Advent 301 labeling these two nutraceutical jars. We already have it set up for a 5-pounder. As you can see here, simply on the 301, you just go ahead and turn the crank and just tap. Once the label gets started, you just keep on turning, and that label is going to go on, a single label, nice and perfectly. And just to go a little bit faster, so you turn it, tap, and there you go. I think you're putting about a 22-inch long label onto that 5-gallon jar. So that's just what we're going to do now is we're going to do a changeover. We're going to do a changeover to this 2-pound jar. And the key to running that smaller jar is that we're going to use the same placement as the label, and that's going to make your changeover a lot easier because you don't have to move the tires left and right to get them to be aimed into this recessed panel area, because that's the really unique feature that makes the 301 work quite well with these type of jars. So I'm going to go ahead and do a changeover. I'm going to take out my waste material, spool it out. And that's just because I'm doing a mid-roll change. That's just a way of minimizing label waste when I use that roll of labels again. Let me throw that away. Okay, I'm going to put it back into place. Spring-loaded, just like a roll of toilet paper, only goes in one direction. You can see there, it goes into the mechanical clutch. I'm going to release the brake arm spring. On this unit, we actually added 2 because it's a wide label going on to kind of an uneven plastic surface. So it just provides a little bit more support to this brake arm. So you have 2 springs to disconnect. And then I'm just going to go ahead. That releases this brake strap right here, and that allows me to spin the mandrel to pull that up. Now I have my guides right here, so you might just want to keep your hand there to guide it through. There we go. And once we have that wrapped around, we just go ahead and flex the mandrel plates. It allows the mandrel to pop out. And then I'm just going to go ahead and pull this roll of labels out. So now we are ready to put that on. You can see here it goes just standard 3-inch core on a roll of labels. I'm just going to put it up against that guide. You want to make sure that it's nice and snug, and that's why we have those clips on there. Kind of locks that core into place. If it slips, you might have to add a label or something to the inside. The other thing you could do is you could take your second plate and you could just push it up against there just to make sure it's nice and flush. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and flex the guides open, and then we're just going to go ahead and thread the labeler. Okay, so it goes underneath the brake arm. Pull it forward. Might want to take off a couple labels here. You can see here it's a really long label. I think probably close to about 18 to 20 inches. Take that off to the side. And then we're going to go underneath this mandrel with the white guides, webbing guides. You can make a little point here to make it a little bit easier. Pull it through, you can see. Take out the peel bar, just lifts up. You always want to keep that Teflon tape on the peel bar. If you take that Teflon tape on there, probably will not feed a label. Put it back into place, so put it over under the liner. And then it just drops into these 2 guides, or 2 notches on the bearing blocks. And you can see that sharp edge is even and facing up towards the white tires. Then we put it through the heart of the machine, which is this 4-inch drive roller and 8-inch pinch roller. That's what pulls the backing paper and feeds the label on there. So you can see I could just put it in between there, and then I could turn the crank, and you can see there's a little bit of drag there that will automatically grab the labels and deflect it towards the back of the machine. I can also push down on the pinch roller with the lever, and that will feed the labels through more too. Let me take our rewind, find the slit, put that point in there, and then wrap it around. And then you just want to straighten everything out, and then most importantly, reactivate the brake. So put that one spring there, which is standard on most 300 series labelers. And then on this application, we added a second spring just to get this nice and even, with even tension on this kind of longer label. And then you want to go ahead and feed out, pull the label while turning the crank. And you can see the rewind system is automatically pulling up the waste material. And then eventually you'll get to the end. So that, and generally you might have to do that once or twice just to get the labels straight. I'm going to do it one more time. So I hit the feed lever, the label is flagged out, and then I just keep on turning the crank while pulling that one label out. All right. Then you can move in your webbing guides a little bit. You don't want them touching, but it's just a way of marking out your label and kind of visually locking or getting things lined up. And then we're going to adjust for the container. Now the idea is that these rollers are fully adjustable to allow you to have them on the inside of this panel area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my carriage knob for the smaller diameter. So I'm moving the white tires in. Okay. And you can see it's going to be very, very close. So my container is pretty much fixed on the carriage. I can move the tires in, but just to make the changeover easier, I'm going to put the container in place. Move my guide here. So I'm going to move that out of place, and I'm just going to line it up. And if I have to, I might need to move the labels left and right to get it lined up. Now the final adjustment, as I move my guide, you can see I just fit it into here with the lever. And I'm going to go ahead and get my Allen wrench tool, and then we'll adjust the overhead pressure arm. So I'm going to pause the video and get. Okay, so I have my Allen wrench tool, and I'm going to go ahead and adjust the overhead pressure arm. Before doing that, just want to point out that this is the adjustment for the bottom guide. We only need to run one. You can see I just moved it forward, and it does clear the lever. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the overhead pressure arm. Loosen up the middle arm. That allows me to slide it left or right. The rule of thumb is just to be in the center line. And then we have a little bit of a gap here on the stop, just so about 1/8 of an inch, and then just tighten up. I should also point out where I adjusted my carriage. If you could point to the side, we just want to make sure that the surface of the bottle is not touching the peel bar. Usually it's about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch over the peel bar. It's not an exact adjustment. You just don't want the surface touching, and you should be fine. Okay, so we have the overhead pressure arm adjusted. You can see we could insert the jar in and out. Don't have to lift anything, so it's nice and good. So we're going to see how accurate we are. So I'm just going ahead, turn the crank, make sure that the container stays up against that guide. It is. And then we're just going to hit tap and then feed that label on. And there we go. It's absolutely perfect. We got good clearances at the top and the bottom. If you wanted to center that up a little bit, you certainly could, but generally with molded plastic jars, once you have it aimed in, you're fine. There's no reason to overthink it. So no bubbles, no wrinkles, absolutely perfect. So that makes for a very, very easy changeover because you don't have to move the white tires. The key is just to put your labels up against this same guide. Might be best to maybe put a Sharpie mark on the mandrel as a witness mark, and then you're ready to go. And I'll just go ahead and do that one more time. Turn the crank, tap till the label starts, and then let go, and a single label will go on, and you can see we're within a 1/16 of an inch. Just absolutely perfect. So that is doing a changeover on the 301. So any questions, feel free to give us a call at 800-846-7716. Thank you.